This is a crazy story from 15 minutes ago, and it exemplifies how wild social media is. I made a video a few days ago, and I want to share how I made that video too, because it was crazy how easy it was to make it. But I made this video a few days ago about this hack within Google Maps that was reported on Reddit. And I first actually discovered this hack while recording a podcast. I recorded a podcast a couple of days ago about local SEO, great things to do in local SEO. That's a really good episode. That's episode 547, 5 weekly things to boost local SEO, LFG. That's what the episode is. Really good episode. And this guy shared this trick, this black hat trick. And he said, if you have a brick and mortar business, whenever you go to your business, use the driving directions feature in Google Maps to go to it. Get your friends to use the driving directions feature in Google Maps to go to it. And this works so well, in fact, that there are people who will travel with like 100 plus phones. You pay them, they travel with 100 plus phones, all doing driving directions to your location in Google Maps, because this tells Google Maps that your location is in demand and it's important. And I shared on the episode why I think maybe this won't work. I'm not so sure about this tactic, seems crazy, but it was a very interesting tactic that was shared. So I make this podcast about it, and then I make a video about it. And even before I say how I make this video about it, the video, I think, is up to 700,000 views now. On Instagram alone, probably closer to 800,000 or 900,000 across everything. Crazy easy for me to make. And I was looking through comments on this video just 15 minutes ago, and there was this one comment that struck me, and I'm like, holy moly. So this guy goes, I share this trick, this Google Maps trick, and I get all these comments and all these views and all these likes, and this guy goes, noted, will remove this feature shortly. And I'm like, who is this guy? So I go to his profile and I see engineer at Google Maps. And then I go to his LinkedIn to make sure he's actually an engineer at Google Maps. And he's ex-Microsoft and an engineer at Google Maps. And I'm like, oh snap. I made this video really easy. And it was hilarious how I did it too, because I recorded on the podcast before that day how I theorized that me recording at cafes actually makes videos do better. Not just because it's a cafe, but because when I go out and about and record, I'm keeping my voice down, I'm whispering, I'm in this hushed tone, and then there's chaos around me, there's the servers, there's the sounds of people talking and drinking coffee, there's maybe background music, so my hush tones and the ambiance makes it kind of seem like I'm about to share something that maybe I shouldn't be sharing, and people are more likely to pay attention. That was my theory, at least. So I write the script to share this Google Maps trick. I write the script on my computer at home in the comfort of my home, and I could record it at home, but I'm like, no, I'm going to test this theory. So I go to a nearby cafe to record the script that I just wrote at home, and I record it with my phone. I record it in, I think the recording itself maybe was 5 minutes. It took me 5 minutes to record the script that I wrote. And because I wasn't putting in any extra graphics, I basically could have my editing software just do the editing for me. I remove all the gaps between words. I remove the retakes. And with that, it's 2 minutes of editing. So it took me, 10 minutes to write the script, 5 minutes to record it, 2 minutes to edit it. In terms of the description, I just used a transcript as the description, and I'm able to copy the transcript from my editing software. So let's say it took another 3 minutes to upload everything. So we're under 20 minutes now total to make this video that now has 900,000 views, and Google engineers are watching, and it's going to change Google's algorithm within Google Maps. That's hilarious to me. Social media is crazy. Also, the fact that I had this theory that going to a cafe will make I think it works especially well if you're sharing something that's kind of against the rules, or maybe just kind of, it has more of like a negative connotation, like manipulating Google Maps, for example. The other thing is I started sharing exploits on things that I was doing on Google, like crazy things that I was seeing and discovering on Google. I started sharing those over the summer because I was noticing some really crazy things, especially having to do with video SEO and how easy video SEO was on Google, how you could make a video, and even if it was on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you could make a video and the next day that would show up #1 on Google. even Instagram, even TikTok. And I made these videos and they went viral, and then my videos stopped performing the way that they were before that. And I had this theory. I'm like, I feel like something's happening here. Either my videos are getting reported by people who don't like to see me succeeding on Google, which is possible. I've never really shared some of the hate that I get, but the hate that I get is crazy. I had some dude it was I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. He just cold DM'd me and said, "You should die." That was what he said to me. He just cold DM'd me and said, "You should die." There's another guy, he follows me on TikTok. And all he does, I don't know why this guy follows me if he doesn't like me so much. He follows me on TikTok, and all he does is he says, "Lose the hair, bro." And he says that on 50% of my videos. He follows me just so he can say that on 50% of my videos. And I let it slide too, because comments make videos perform better. There's it's still good engagement. I don't care. I think it's funny, but it's there's real haters out there. There's people who will go and if you're performing well on Google search and you share it, there's people who don't want to see that. They just don't want to see others succeed. And so I don't know if it was people who were reporting my videos in Google search because they were ranking really well, especially on Instagram and TikTok. They were ranking really well, and now they're not ranking as well. Or if Google took action saying this shouldn't be happening. I don't know what it was, but after that, I said, okay, I'm doing some crazy stuff within SEO. I'm going to stop sharing it on TikTok and Instagram Reels, because here's the thing about this podcast. I share a lot more on this podcast, and I share a lot more in my newsletter. And the reason that I do that is because if you're subscribed to my newsletter, or if you watch this podcast, you most likely like me, and you don't want to go and report my stuff on Google doing really well. You don't want to go and report that or try to have it taken down. I share a lot in compact keywords, probably stuff that I shouldn't share, but I share it because I'm like, well, if you buy compact keywords, you probably don't want to see me not succeed. You probably don't hate me. However, with TikTok and Instagram Reels, these videos, if they're interesting, they're pushed out to everybody. And it's people especially who will engage with it. And engagement isn't always positive. Engagement could also be negative. You could see something and get really angry, but generate all this positive engagement signals because you're angry. You could comment, you could share it with someone because you're so pissed off. And that stuff makes videos do better. And so as a result, I've had to stop sharing my own exploits on Google. Exploits, I don't know, exploits is an intense word. My own success on Google within TikTok and Instagram Reels. And my theory was that, something could be happening if my video does really well, sharing something that I did, and then what I did isn't working as well. And actually, I shared this with an SEO that I know, and he's like, no, it's just normal Google variance. And I didn't believe that. And now, I see literally engineers at Google are watching my stuff, are watching these videos. I think it's so crazy that I could write this script in 10 minutes, go to a cafe, record it in 5, edit it in 2 minutes, whatever, post in 3 minutes, 20 minutes. And it has this crazy global distribution. And that's wild. It's just, and now Google Maps is going to patch this, which, by the way, I didn't even think actually worked. And it's crazy that actually worked. Really crazy that actually worked, because you would figure that if the velocity increased really fast in abnormal behavior, Google's algorithms would look at that. Either way, I don't know. I thought this was such a wild story. I wanted to share it. I was hyped by it, to be honest. I wasn't going to do that Google Maps trick, and I didn't even recommend. And I recommended on the show, on the podcast where I talked about it, I recommended not doing it. I believe it would be playing with fire. And it still might be. It's possible that, Google Maps is a huge application. It's used by 1 billion people. Possible that this engineer doesn't even know. I saw that he started in March 2024. So maybe it's already been patched. Maybe there's already detection algorithms in place and he just doesn't know. And he saw this video for the first time and he just wrote that on a whim. I still think it would be a bad idea to try it. I think it's a very risky idea. Unless, and this is what I said on the show when I talked about it, unless your Google Maps is not important to you and it's using an email address that is not connected to Google Search Console, so it's not connected to your other properties, okay, then you could probably try it. I don't think Google is going to do any IP mapping to look at your IP address and see what other properties that IP address is connected to. I think it's unlikely Google would do that, though they could. Google looks at Chrome data. Google looks at all sorts of data that you might not expect. They could do that. I don't think that would happen. But I do think it's possible that if that email address was connected to Google Search Console, it could be bad. I talked about 2 days ago how Google, when they were going after in March of 2024, they were going after websites producing tons of spam content with AI generated pages that were unchecked, thousands of them. They would take down these sites, penalize these sites, but then they would penalize any property within the Google Search Console that was connected to these spam sites. So I play SEO for the long game. I think the biggest shortcut is the long cut. I say that all the time. I really believe it. I mean, you see it from what I do. You see, this is episode 552 of doing this show. 552 days in a row doing this. That's playing the long game. Made a video every day on TikTok and Instagram Reels since starting November 1st, 2022. What you can do in a year or two, just being consistent, is wild. So for me, the long game is really fun. And I don't need to mess around with these super crazy fast black hat hacks that are honestly that can easily be tied back to you. To me, that's risky. There's so many other ways that trying to exploit Google Maps can be tied back to you. And maybe they would use IP addresses. I think it's unlikely, but it's possible, and they could. And so for me, I like sleeping soundly at night. And not doing the completely risky stuff helps me sleep soundly, and that's fine. And I've seen so many friends in SEO just be hit by wild penalizations too. But anyway, this is a crazy story. I didn't expect to see a Google Maps engineer. When I made this video, I'm like, I just made the video and I didn't expect to see Google Maps engineers commenting on it and being like, okay, we're going to look into this. So I think it's hilarious. I think it's crazy. And you can do it too. I mean, anyone can do this. Anyone can make videos that have crazy global distribution, and especially within their niche, like 900,000 views within the niche of digital marketing and SEO, because that's largely the people who are watching. I think that's pretty interesting, pretty wild stuff. All right, this is episode 552 of my daily digital marketing show. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched on YouTube, thank you so much for listening. If you listened on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it is 8:53 a.m. here, and I woke up, I was checking these messages, I felt hyped. I'm like, you know what? I feel really good. I have some good energy. I'm going to go record right now. And now I'm going to go outside and enjoy the morning light. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.